is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk. But in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
I've been, yeah. This is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat about everything it is mental health, disability, and life in general. Here with me, Kev Dillon, and my partner in crime, Lee Cadman. And today, the cost of living crisis. Will our new PM, Liz Truss, save us? How do you feel about that, old pal?
We're not going into the gratitude.
Well,
skipping that, going straight for the meat of it today.
Go on then, we'll get into gratitude.
No, it's too late now.
I always believe we should always remind ourselves to be grateful. So I'm going to start with gratitude. Now, I'm one of the parents who actually, I've enjoyed spending time with my child over 6 weeks holiday. Well, I know so many people I've talked to, aren't you grateful they're going back to school? And
no, Jasmine's grateful because she's going back to school and getting away from you.
But I've been so grateful to we had a party on the weekend, went to Dudley Zoo, and just being with her, spending this time in the house, and just, I'm grateful for the time we've had together. What are you grateful for?
I could say the same, to be quite honest. It's been nice having the kids at home and getting to spend more time with them. I think the same, Kev, this week. I'm just grateful that we do have that opportunity. And you know what? It's not long really before October half term comes along and we get that again.
Well, we've got boxing season just about to start. I think the novices start at the end of the month. And then once again, they're on about making boxing season 12 months. And quite frankly, the boxers need a rest, the coaches need a rest. So we haven't got to be out all the time at shows.
Yeah.
So as much as I love the shows, and before you know, the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be out every weekend again, and our show will be here. But I do enjoy the rest from it. I mean, you're always in the gym, but just giving up your Friday, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, never mind the training. So I've been grateful for the rest. But, it'll soon be here. And when it is here, I do love it. So anyway, back to the elephant in the room. Liz Truss, do we think? I mean, is she the best out of the bad bunch, or she's the worst out of the worst bunch? I mean, do we think she's going to swoop in? So this theory, I had this theory, and I think I've said it before, the Tories, and I thought they were going to run in, and as bad as it is, they'll come in and save the day, and don't worry, we're going to stop all the profits. But then I've actually seen the reality. I'm thinking, will they though? Will they put caps on? Will they? Because it's great saying, we're going to give people £400 towards it, but I don't think that's enough. We've got to be making these people accountable. We can't be letting average day people be spending more on keeping the house warm than the actual house. And I think if it keeps going on these ways, we are going to see mass unemployment, because who can afford to have a takeaway? Who can afford to go to the pub? Who can afford a taxi or an Uber? So you lose the businesses. And then because we haven't got the jobs, people will lose their homes and their possessions. And then we will be losing lives because people just won't be able to deal with it. And then when you're losing jobs, lives, homes, you increase the crime rate because desperate people do desperate things. And I fear that we're a couple of steps away from anarchy. I feel like with the strikes and people just having enough, and this side of Christmas, when mummies and daddies, fathers and mothers can't provide Christmas and can't keep the house warm and can't keep the wolf from the door, people become very frightened and very desperate.
I think a lot of what you said is going to happen. And by the suffering involved in all that, I don't think it's a bad thing, because things do need to change and change quite drastically, especially with Parliament, the way it's run, the way MPs flout rules and put everything on expenses, and basically I don't think we get bang for our buck with what they do at all. And something the people need to uprise and do something about it. And by the people, I mean everyone involved. Like, you know, there's people who don't support strikes at the moment because it inconveniences them. They must be off their head, because those people are fighting just to have a wage to live on. You know, a minimum wage used to be the minimum required to raise your family. Now it's the minimum to survive, and it's not even that now, is it? It's not even to survive. It's it's minimum wage is not even going to cover, if you're working full time on minimum wage, it's not even going to cover being able to get a place and the electric for it.
Well, this is affecting Middle Britain as well, isn't it? When you've got a nurse and a fire officer.
I'm not sure they're Middle Britain anymore.
No, but I was brought up to believe Middle Britain was of, you know, in the services. I'm a police officer, I'm a fire officer, I'm a nurse, I'm a whatever, and a binman, you know, the core of the country. And you've got two full-time working civil servants, and they're worrying. I talk to everyone. Don't forget, from everyone. That's the beauty of running a boxing club. And you're having Middle Britain, who I've always classed, going, I don't know if we're going to have able to have the fire on. And then when people have got their pensions, and you market it, you scrimp and you save, and you go, all right, then I'm living on. I've stripped away, and I've got £100 a week. I've bought my house. I can afford £100 a week, and that's the. I can eat what I want. I can have a holiday. I can. And then all of a sudden, your bills are now £120 extra. So not only have you lost all your free money, your spending money, your if I want to point money, if I want to have a game of bingo money, you're actually in deficit.
Yeah.
How front that is, because you're thinking, I'm too old to work. I can't go and get back on the shovel. And quite frankly, I've worked for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's my turn to having a rest. And how frightening that must be. And then this horrible thing of eat or heat. And you're thinking, I can't be warm in my own home.
I think it is a lot of that. And then we spoke about this on Thursday about the disabled and the struggle that they're going to see. You know, we're in a position in our house where in the summer we have to have the aircon on constantly to keep my daughter cool, stop her having seizures, which could lead on to a lot worse things. And but there's people out there who are visited within my job with children who literally have equipment that keeps them alive. Whether that's an oxygen concentrator, there's plenty of equipment that is there to keep that child alive. And imagine being in a situation where you don't know if you can afford your electric bill to keep that child alive, let alone comfort, let alone maybe having an iPad to watch so they can watch, or some lights that are on the ceiling so they can interact with those, just to keep them alive. And you don't know whether you can afford to do that. You don't know whether you're gonna. And I was like, what have we come to when that's a worry for someone? That shouldn't be a worry, should it? You shouldn't have to worry that you can't keep medical equipment switched on, or you shouldn't have to worry that if you because you have to keep that medical equipment switched on, you can't have your heating on, or you can't have a fridge. Because we spoke about this. There's people who were literally turning their freezers off at night to try and save money, but then causing more problems because this food's defrosting and then they're feeding it. You just get, and you're going, well, what are we living in? What? And people can say it was worse in the 70s, it was worse in the 80s. You know what? Even if it was worse in the 70s and 80s, you should be looking now and going, well, how come between the 70s and 80s, which is 40, 50 years ago, have we not improved? How are we in a situation where we're comparing it to that?
Yeah, it's like comparing the
Go on.
Yeah, can you hear us? If anyone can hear us, put a thumbs up. Bear with us.
Oh, you came on and went back off. Right, we're on now.
Yeah,
Back
we're on. We're back on. Thank you for bearing with us, guys. But we were just saying, we as a people run the country. We elect the government in, but we as a people run it. We are the people who, if it's not right, then we have the right to protest. We must stand up for the injustice that is happening. And if it's not right, we've got to be out there. And I don't know if you could hear this, but in the comparison, the British will go out for a meal and it's my steak's overcooked or undercooked. Oh, it's bloody terrible. The waitress comes over. How is it? It's fine. We will moan, but we will not complain. But we've got to, if we don't complain and if we don't put out there that are disgust with the hypocrisy and the downright downtrodden of the people, then how will things change? And will this Prime Minister do it? Is she going to be another person who's so far gone with the fairies that she's just going to come out with some silly scenarios, look after the super rich? We have to encourage the rich to come to the country because that provides jobs. But why are we picking on people with disability or on the gyro or our lowest end people and letting scoundrels get away with downright robbery? Well, I mean, we've seen it with our last PM, haven't we?
Well, this is where it needs to change, isn't it, Kev? It needs to change. It needs to change from there. And as I say, I think I don't want to see anyone suffer, but I don't, in terms of the potential of what could come out of that suffering and people doing a general strike, people getting out there, and because ultimately, if we're not out there working, the working class people, if they're not out there working, then the country just goes down very quickly, and it affects the rich. And that's the only way that we could, because at the moment, all these people profiteering and all that's going on, all the decisions and what's going on within Parliament affects the poor, and is now starting to affect the middle class, but it doesn't affect the rich. So we as people now need to do something that affects those people and make them stop and listen and look.
Once again, like your binman, if your bins don't get collected and your street starts to smell, you start worrying about it, and that's what we've got to do, get it to those areas. And if the fire officers, and we've got to hit it hard now, otherwise what will change? We need, and once again, if the working class go down, the middle class come down, we need to show them that we're not happy and we're not going to put with it.
We've got a few comments in, actually, Kev. I'm sorry, I'm just going back through them after our little sound glitch, and I'm going to bring some up now. And
read them out to us, Lou.
oh, cheers. Steve Ansel's writing the longest comments ever because he knows I'm absolutely rubbish at reading these out.
I've been listening.
But how you doing, Steve? Yeah. So I'll just bring this up now. This is from a while back, so it might not be relevant to what we're just discussing, but yeah, because the same problems, I haven't got round to it. So it's a gross misconduct to the people of the country. Does it make sense how so few people are making millions from it when people, middle earners, as you say, are struggling? We all work hard, and it should be given that you can afford to eat and heat. But that's the world we live in now. Not sure how normal people can force change. But we just spoke out that, and I think for me, the only way you can force change is by stopping working, because that will affect the rich. If we're not out there, it might take some time. It'll also affect us, but ultimately we've been affected anyway. So I don't know. Ultimately we don't have the answer, do we, as such? But
there's got to be greater minds than me and you. I'm just
speak for yourself, Kev.
But we need something to go. We are at the cusp of the end here. You know, when I can't, well, you know, like with the cost of fuel, like ambulances, police officers, fire officers, you know, if the price of that is going up, and then I heard rumours, probably fear tactics, but schools might have to only do 4 days because they can't afford the budget, and youth clubs will close down. And you're thinking, how many of our essential services must close because we can't afford to put the lights on, to put the radiators on, to get the petrol to get there? So what has got to happen for us to go, no, all right then, let's turn the lights off. Let's get the civil servants to say no. You know what? Let's get the volunteers, because without the volunteers, the country can't run. And go, you know what? No, we ain't going to do it either. Because
Right, I'm going back through. I am listening to you, Kev. I'm trying to follow the comment trail as well. And it's some of them that are coming up. I'll just bring them up on there and read them out in kind of context. But so Sean has put, sorry, it's come off my screen now, which is not helpful. And single dads that step up and the mom get all the money, and that's only they only get what they work for. No cold weather payments, no cost of living payments. How is that fair? And Steve's put that he's I'm a single man earning 20k a year and get no help at all. And we do forget about this, don't there? There is these people who just fall off that path, the plan altogether, because you look and go, well, he's earning money, he hasn't got a family, and the same as the one above. But ultimately, 20k is not a great lot to live on in this day and age.
What we say, like, there's people that fall through the cracks, but they're not cracks; they're canyons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like,
well, even the people who qualify now for the help, it's not. Although there is help, it's not helpful in terms, because there's such a chasm between the money they're getting to the money that is going out.
And sometimes you're just on that tax bracket. You know, I'm earning, I don't know, 50 grand a year, but because I'm over the bracket, now I lose this. And you're thinking, well, I'm getting taxed more than I'm earning. And then it's a shower of the bad stuff.
Well, it's also businesses. I mean, I've seen it quite a lot where little high street cafes are being charged like 40, 50 grand a year in electric, and you just think, how you surviving that? And then I've read that the pint's going to go up to £20 a pint to cover costs, and ultimately it won't go to £20 a pint because no one will buy it. No. So they'll go out of business. And then, as Steve's rightly put on a message as well, I don't think schools and hospitals should have to pay for energy bills. It should be free to those places. And you just stop and think about them to heat. You know, you went to Crestwood School, I went to Summerhill School. They're big, cold buildings with the heating on, aren't they? You know, and hospitals, like
nursing homes.
You think of the bills of a hospital where every time I go into hospital, I complain it's too hot in there. You know, but it's hot for a reason. It's trying to keep, you know, the people who are ill warm, not the people who are visiting, like myself.
But nursing homes, hospices. It goes on and on and on. But then you look at gyms. You have your running machines, you have this. Oh, well, we can't afford it now. Or, like ourselves, we charge the children £2.50. If you're unemployed, £3. If you can afford it, £5. We're not going to put our prices up because we're a successful gym and we have a lot of people. But places go, well, we can't afford it, so we'll charge the children £4. But then you come from you've got 4 kids, but now I can't afford to send the kids there. And it's that knock-on effect. We have to charge more to keep us going, but because they charge more, we can't afford to go.
And I understand you're not putting your price up, but again, if you say to let's say you want to go boxing once a week and you've got 4 kids who want to go boxing, when you have no money, that's a lot of money.
Precisely, and that's why we've always said we'd rather have a room full and make, I don't know, £100 off the top of my head, £100, and have 10 people there and have £100. I want as many people in as we can. To get them off the street and to do what amateur boxing, amateur sport, grassroots sport is to get the people off the streets and into a loving, caring environment. But we've already got no youth clubs. We've already losing stuff. But when these people are going, I can't afford to keep the wolf in the door, we've got to shut.
Well, that's a disgusting thing about it, because they're saying they're going to do like we got food banks now, which are struggling themselves because there's that much many people needing to use them. They're on about doing warm banks where you can go somewhere and be warm, or you've got TV programs like this morning doing this Wheel of Fortune thing where you used to win things like, oh, we'll send you away on holiday, we'll do something that's extravagant. Now they're putting on there that we will pay your electric bill for 4 months. You can, what world are we living in? To win a competition, you get to survive to put your heating on for 4 months. I mean, really?
What was it last year? There was stories of old people getting on the bus all day to get warm, and then you've always had the old boys and the old girls who are in the pub sipping a mild, watching TV, and that's what their community. But as you say, if it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, £10 a pint, they can't afford it. But B, if the pubs aren't going to be there, and then you'd have people like walking around like the Merry Hill centres or the malls. But once again, you go to the Merry Hill by us, and how many shops are closed? But every shop isn't just a shop. That's the place where people work. That's the place where people have had to make clothes to go to that work. You know what I mean? You're seeing all these shops, from mum and papa stores to the the Debenhams, shutting down. It's all good having all these shops on the internet, but where are the jobs? Where are people going? What's happening to the high street? What's happening to the malls? And we've had a rubbish couple of years with COVID, with all the fear that's gone around it. And that fear is building on fear, And all of a sudden, the fear is getting more real. It's instead of the big bad wolves out there, the big bad wolf is now knocking on your door and he's huffing and puffing. And you're just hoping to God your house that your family are in is strong enough to hold off the wind. And for so many, it ain't going to be. When you got people saying, I can't afford to put the oven on, or I won't be able, I've got to sit there in a jumper and a hoodie and a blanket. And you're thinking, what the dickens, guys? And these are just the essentials, not the luxuries.
Yeah. There's a lot of it on the TV now as well, isn't there? Experts, so-called experts, giving advice on how to cut your energy bill. For instance, Boris Johnson on about kettles, which is really bizarre. And I think the thing is that what these people don't realise is people who have lived in poverty or people at the lower end of this world, they know how to manage the money. They know how to save. They know to turn the switches off. And they've been doing that years. That's nothing new to people, is it? They manage that really well. And I think you're getting these, if you just did this, or if you just install solar panels at 20 grand, then you'll be fine. Because everyone has 20 grand to come and spend on this. And really, what is the way out of the energy crisis? It is renewables, because they're free. So the idea at the moment is that everyone's going to, the idea that's coming out from Liz Truss at the moment is that the bills are going to be capped at £2,500. It's not announced yet, but this is what's kind of coming out, alleged. But to pay for that, we're going to have to pay over 20 years. And it's going to cost, I don't know, close to 100. I think they're saying from 90 billion to 120 billion. And you just think, well, if you just give everyone solar panels or a wind, or built a load of wind farms, or did something renewable with that money, okay, we might have to still suffer a bit now, but at least there's an end goal in it. Like the way they're proposing to do it, we're still reliant on things that we shouldn't be reliant on. So nationalising them, you're not reliant on companies making profit anymore, which brings price down. Providing renewables, because there's been a levy on our electric bills for God knows how long that goes back to electric companies to provide renewable electricity or put the structures in to provide new electricity. Now, obviously, they're not doing that because we're not self-sufficient. So it's got to change, doesn't it? It's just got to change to something that suits everyone.
And they're pushing us all when we can't afford to put the kettle on to have a cup of coffee to warm us up because we've been freezing our arse off all night. But go and get an electric car. And you're thinking, are you really pulling my blanket as much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when they're saying, we'll have shorter baths, have one bath a week, and you're thinking, Ollie, you'll have water mains burst, spraying out. And I'm thinking, you're telling me You can't fix that within 3 to 4 to 5 weeks, if not months. But you're telling me I can't have a swill in the morning. And you think,
well, again, it's they're privatised again. The water companies are privatised. There's no investment in the structure because they just want to milk the profit. Whereas again, if they're nationalised, there's investment back into the structure of it because it makes sense to do that. Because you're not out there to make profit. You're out there to provide a service. But Sean's put something up again, Kev, that you'll be interested probably after the show. I'll read it out to you. But Sean, if you're still listening, drop us a private message, and we may be able to help with that. It's to do with boxing, so we may and charities, Kev, and it might be something that we can help with in any way. So just drop us a private message, and we'll get back to you. But really, we're as most people know, with mental health and disability is what we usually talk about. And Steve's brought something really good, really bad up, I suppose, but he's scared himself with bills going up and the looming recession. The country will break soon, and I know my anxiety and depression has been massively affected by what's happening, and more so of what might come. The future scares him, and you know what? It is a time of uncertainty, isn't it? And a time of you don't really know what is going to happen, and if anyone out there is on the road where you have to feel like you're starting to go downhill, get help. I've mentioned on the radio a couple of times now that I've had to self-refer myself. Nice and easy to do. Can't remember the website at the moment, but I'll make sure it's put in the links. So if you are struggling, self-refer yourself. It's an easy process to do. Someone will contact you from Dudley Talking Services. They're great to talk to. They do it in a timely manner. You know, don't wait till you're absolutely at rock bottom before you do that.
And there's so many organisations like Bet No More UK, there's all these organisations. And once again, if you are struggling, we ain't got all the answers, message us and we'll try and find you an organisation that might or might not be able to help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Steve, you're not the only one, brother, who's like this. How many people I talk to, old, middle-aged, even the young, are thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Then the housing crisis. And people are going to be losing their homes. And I was talking to someone today, one of my lessons, and he was saying, Middle Britain, you know, because I can afford it. So I'll buy a new house. I'll buy a new motor. We can afford this. We're comfortable. We've got to that stage in life. We can afford this. And all of a sudden, it goes from, I don't know, £300 a month electricity and gas to £800, and you're going, we can no longer afford this. All of our savings are going just by keeping warm. And like when you have the gas and electricity companies owe you money when you give a little bit too much. I've talked to several people, and the gas and electricity, you know, they're £1,000 in, they owe you. Then all of a sudden, you're down to £30 because it creeps in, and we've got another big push coming. But there's got to be organisations out there, and we're going to get a few on soon, because I think we're all going to need an helping hand.
Well, hopefully. I mean, we're kind of at this point judging Liz Truss before she's really had time to do anything. But hopefully, we don't need to get them organisations on, and we don't need people on TV trying to tell us how to cut gas and electric when we've been doing it years. Because she will come in and save the day, and we can only at this point give her that opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why we've not really judged her on here and said, oh, it's bad. You know, ultimately,
We don't know.
no, we don't know. We don't know what she is or isn't going to do. It's all guesswork and whatever else. You might find that in a week or 2 weeks we're back on here going, well, really, what's going on? Why hasn't she helped? Or we might be going, you know what? She's done fantastic.
But you've always got to remember, before we leave, we as a people run the country, and we can either make excuses or changes. That's what it breaks down to. And if we're not happy, then we have got to not let them make excuses, and we as a people have got to make the changes and say we are not happy. Because if we don't, then God help us. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're listening to this, please go over and subscribe, leave comments on our podcast. And if you have enjoyed it, we've got so many podcasts out there. We're also on every social media possible. So follow us there. I'll leave my daily videos on there. So guys, hope you've enjoyed it. But until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.